thank you so much for being here today. Now, instead of me introducing you, because I just know you as the personal branding queen, but I know it is so much more than that. I know I don't even think you use personal branding. So I would actually love you to tell us a little about what you do right now, but also around your journey to date. Like, how did you actually get in to starting your own business and making it as successful as it is today?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this conversation. Also, I'm always interested in how others got to where they are now, because I think we can learn from every single person.
Absolutely.
What am I today? You hit the nail on the head. I'm focusing and specializing in personal branding, mainly for corporate professionals, how they can build a portfolio career and how they can basically commercialize their knowledge. Most recently, I'm also an author.
Yes. So cool.
It's weird to say that.
It's amazing. It's like my childhood dream to be an author. So I watched your process. I was like, oh my God, it is possible. We can do this.
It is possible. See, it was never on my agenda. And then last year in July, I was like, you know what? I need to write a book.
I love it. I love it. And you just did. That's so cool.
I just did. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm all for done is better than perfect, because there will probably still be spelling mistakes and there are a couple of diagrams that are not the right color. But hey, who cares?
It's done. It's out there. It's in the world. Yes.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, specializing in corporate professionals, and I also work with companies. And especially over the last year, we see more and more companies reaching out to help their staff to build their presence and their brand, especially if they're client facing, any account directors, any consultants from the big fours, for example, lawyers, accountants, everyone who is client facing or who's got a business development role. They see that we're buying into people and not into brands or company brands. And this is what I've been specializing for the last 5 years. And I landed here by accident. Never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Both of my parents are hardcore entrepreneurs. They've, I think, worked in a corporation for like 2 years each. And then they started their own business, and they had always multiple businesses on the go. And I experienced the extreme high. We had a lot of money, nothing. Yeah. We couldn't even pay the grocery bill. A lot of money, again. And I thought, I don't want to do this roller coaster. I am climbing the corporate ladder. And that's it for me. And I did that for the first 10 years of my life. And because I grew up in a very hardworking family, it was easy for me to kind of progress quickly, because I could outwork everyone.
Which is a really amazing skill to have. I think that the ability to outwork anyone translates into business life though as well.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And having said that, this was my biggest advantage. And this is why I was very young in very senior roles already. And this also was my biggest baggage in the end, because I expected when I was called into my manager's office that I get the next promotion, because I was the first in, last out. I took on more projects to prove that I can do everything. And they said, no, we see that you're the hard worker, but you're not able to influence, you're not able to delegate. And in your role, and back then I was looking after 18 boards, you are not responsible for doing the doing, you're responsible for enabling others to do it. Yeah. But I never got leadership training or, coaching. So I had a completely different self-perception than the rest of the senior leadership team had. And it bruised my ego just a little bit.
These things always do, yes.
Oh, so much. So I got out of the industry and was like, I am too dumb, too silly for marketing. I literally had no confidence whatsoever after this incident. And I got into recruitment, into digital and tech recruitment, which I had never had any exposure to. So I literally Googled, what is SEO? Because I didn't know that either.
That's awesome. Yes.
And, as a recruiter, what you need to do, you need to introduce your candidates to clients. But because I had no idea what my candidates were talking about with Scrum and Agile and C# and all of that fun stuff, I just asked so many questions. I got to know them really well, how they got into it, what they can actually do, what's the difference between it. Awesome. So what I did, I was basically the translator to my clients. And I could sell in my candidates because I could tell their story rather than saying, he's got 5 years experience here and 3 degrees here, because nobody cares.
Yeah.
And I outperformed everyone else very quickly again in recruitment. And this is where the penny dropped. And I thought, what if there is a method that people or my candidates could actually help or focus on clarifying what is their competitive advantage, what makes them different, because then they can communicate it themselves online with their online presence on LinkedIn, but also offline in interviews and so forth. And this is how they can commercialize their knowledge, their experience, their personal brand. And this is how I developed Impact with the CCC, because it's my process: clarify, communicate, and commercialize. And this is what I've been doing since 2017 full-time. And in 2019, I started a second business and working with companies on exactly that, but also leadership development for global teams, especially that, you know, we specialized in it before COVID and global teams and remote working was a thing. We run hackathons for recruitment and also work with teams on building their brand and presence. So this is me in a nutshell.
That is so cool. And I just love, you know, the idea of, because I'm from the corporate world before I started businesses as well. And I was that person. I was just get in there first, leave last, but I never established a brand for myself. It was never anything that I sort of looked within and thought, you know, I've got to, you know, think about what value I add as an individual inside the organization. And I think nowadays they talk about entrepreneurs quite a lot. And it's sort of the thoughts sort of blending for me a little bit, because it feels like, you know, I always think about you need your personal brand to sell your business. But inside a corporation, you need the exact same thing to actually develop your career and progress as well.
Absolutely. And you also future-proof yourself with that, because if you realize in 2 years you actually can't be bothered doing what you're doing right now, or you're overweight, you're bored, or your skill set is just not in demand anymore because of technology or economical changes, as a brand, you can pivot a lot easier, because you are known for more than your job title and your credentials. You are known for your personality, your strength, your interests. This is what your story sells yourself in, and this is what others associate with us, where we say, you know, this person, they're always upbeat, they always bring in energy. What if they actually do our event management? It's like boom. So all of a sudden other people bring opportunities to us simply because they put one and one together, not because we say, hey, I'm so extroverted, I love people, I want to do events management, but because others see their potential. And this is how we actually progress in our career and future-proof ourselves.
Oh, I love it. I think it's amazing. So talk to me about the business side of things. So obviously you are so passionate about what you do. Have you got a team? Like, what's your day-to-day role in the business right now?
Yes, I started as a business of one and have now grown a team of 6 altogether. And they've got various roles, from 2 VAs who are looking more of the tech side on the background, to set up, you know, landing pages and do all the high attention to detail bits and bobs that I can't be bothered with.
That's amazing.
Yes, I've got a videographer who also does podcast editing. I've got a social media lady who also does graphic design, and then I've got a graphic designer who also works with me on my clients' work. And then depending on the projects that we're working on, I also work with other consultants or coaches to fill certain slots. When we, you know, work with a company with 300 people, I'm not doing all of that. So I get other people in who are developing and delivering the training for them.
That's amazing. So I really feel like you've kind of stepped up to that CEO level, and you're doing I guess the strategy and the thought leadership and the facilitation, but you've got other people around you now that kind of take on sort of more niche roles in the business. Absolutely.
And this is also what I realized in corporate. I always was literally bored after a year, maybe 18 months into my role, because it was just so monotonous. And in a second, I pushed a little bit the boundaries. So I was like, oh, great idea, but don't do it next week again. I was like, oh, all right, another call. You know, I just got constantly, especially in my last couple of roles, constantly the red tape and say, you can't do that. We love what you're doing, but no. And, you know, because I delivered the numbers, they couldn't do much to me. But I just thought, I've got so much more in me. I've got so many more ideas, and I literally feel I'm on the hamster wheel and I'm not getting anywhere. Whereas now I can actually step into this role and I can live in 2036 because the team is in 2022. So it works well when you know what you can bring to the table and don't consider this as your weakness, that you don't have the attention to detail. Because looking at a spreadsheet for longer than 3 minutes I'm already bored. I don't even know what I'm doing. This is how quickly I switch off. And others, they love doing that. They can't, if their life depends on it, come up with new ideas and concepts, which for me is so easy. So I think, especially running a business, having a high level of self-awareness is key to be sustainably successful, because you can burn the candles very quickly if you try to do everything.
Well, and you're spot on. I think if you plan to scale at any point, you have to have those people around you. Like, you literally can't do everything all the time. How did you find finding those people and bringing them in as, members of the team? Did you, was everyone you've ever hired the right fit, or did you need to go through a learning curve, or how is the process of scaling a team for you?
I've made mistakes too, two very costly mistakes. Yeah. And, even though I've placed 300 something people into roles, and I thought I can hire quite well. This one lady who I've known for probably 7 years at that stage, I even placed her twice, and everyone spoke so highly of her. We even were friends. And all of a sudden I hired her. We had this business relationship, and it went pear-shaped, like horribly wrong. Wow, and she was upset, and she said things I think she will regret now, because this has a very bitter taste now. So I never, in the second something gets emotional or personal, I'm out. I'm removing myself from the conversation, because it's still just business in the end. It has nothing to do with the person, and it got into that stage. So this was a very expensive mistake. In different ways. And how I found the other ones quite interesting, actually. So yeah, I also teach at universities, and I'm actually a headhunter for up and coming talents. So I actually hired 3 of my previous students who have now transitioned. A couple of them are freelancers, so I'm just getting them in if I need something specific, and the other person is full-time with me. So she's been the greatest hire. Then a graphic designer based in New York. I met her actually online through Instagram.
Amazing. That's so good.
It's so good. I saw some of her graphics and I was like, this is exactly the style that I want. So she's redesigned my brand. And then my 2 VAs, they're working together. Again, Instagram, actually came across them through another online coach. She has a bit of a different specialization. I thought, who is this Lyra? It's her name. So I checked her out. We had a conversation. I just love her. She's also been with me for 1.5 years. And then my videographer and podcast editor, funny story, he reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, can I interview you? And back then he was actually full-time employed, and he wanted to showcase Brisbane businesses. And I thought, cool. We get on like a house on fire. Like, we're literally taking the piss out of each other, and we have so much fun together. Yeah. And he's been with me for 4 years. So the longest, actually. Yeah.
That's so good. So was there anything about the people that have worked out for you that maybe is like a hack for hiring people, like any kind of advice for business owners who are kind of going, maybe they've had, they haven't quite got it right in the past, and some they have, some they haven't. Like, is there anything that you can kind of pinpoint that helps you make the right decision when you're hiring someone for a team?
Definitely. For me, I am not a micromanager. It again bores me to death. I don't want to look after somebody. I'm not their mom. So I always look for people who are driven, who are self-motivated, who've got their own ideas, who don't just address problems, but come with a couple of solutions that we work through that together. Somebody who is independent, but still wants to be part of a team. This is what I'm looking for. And it comes down to personality. And with all of the guys that I'm working with, we've got so much fun too. So it's not just a pure business relationship. We say, do this and tick the box and, we are off again. That's not the case at all. So I also think, could I spend a night with them if we go out? Would I want to have a wine with them or not? Yeah. Because if not, I wouldn't bother.
Well, I mean, obviously I agree with you. I'm all about, you just spend so much of your day working. Yeah. You've got to have fun. You've got to be able to relax. You've got to be able to relate to people and look, and, on various levels, obviously everyone brings their own values to the tables and different personalities and styles and ways of working. But if you can, I guess, come together and, find a common ground, that's so important over and above just the work.
Absolutely. And, business and work, it has enough challenges, so you don't want to add another layer of drama of personnel stuff. And I had that when I led teams. Like my biggest team was 16 people, and it just drained me so much because there was always drama, and he said this and she did that. It's like, gosh, are we in kindergarten?
Yeah,
I
just
can't
do your
be
job.
bothered. Exactly.
I know you can't
Get
say
on with
that.
Yes, you can't say that. So I don't, and to be honest, I also don't plan to have a massive team. It's not, I didn't enjoy it when I actually did it, and I always thought this was my goal, that I have those big teams. It sounds more glamorous and romantic in the imagination, but in reality, it's not my cup of tea.
No, and I completely agree with you. I think that, historically, people equate success to a massive office and a team and all those things. But I'm like, there are so many now that we do Spark and we're in this community, I'm like, no, there are so many hugely successful, profitable businesses that don't go down that route, and in actual fact, team and office and those kind of overheads can sometimes really hurt a business, especially in the early days. Are you guys all remote team?
Yes, we are. I do have a co-working space monthly where everyone could come, but at the same time, so Nathan just moved to Melbourne last week, and he was in Bali for 6 months prior to that. So the other lady is in New York, Chelsea's here. So we can meet in person, but we don't have to. And I agree. I want to have a lean and mean team where we can be also competitive in terms of pricing, that we don't have to pass on all the overheads, because that actually sets us apart from all the big businesses who've got those massive fixed costs that they have to cover to start with. And also, when COVID-19 hit, I had back then 6 income streams, and 2 of the biggest ones were cut overnight.
Wow.
I did feel sorry for myself, let's be honest, but I knew I could maintain the lifestyle. So I'd rather be more profitable with what I've got and what I built, that if we don't have income for a few months, it's bad, but it's not the end of the world, rather than literally living kind of paycheck to paycheck, which we never know as a business owner what's next month's coming. And then I also invest a lot in automation, to be honest. So everything that can be handled automatically with some software, with some technology, I hand it over, because it frees us up to do more creative work, to create new courses, to actually do business development, to be with our clients. So this is the biggest second expense, probably after the extra staff, is automation.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And I want to, before we go on, you mentioned multiple revenue streams. And I think that's really interesting, because I think sometimes people are divided over just focus on one thing. And I know that you talk about portfolio careers and multiple revenue streams. And I'd love to get your thoughts on why and how that's been successful for you.
Yeah, I always had kind of 2 income streams. Usually it was my full-time job, and then I started as a personal trainer at the age of 15, and it was always my second income. And then I went to university and got a job as PA for 20 hours and did about 15 hours as a personal trainer next to my study. So I always had kind of multiple income streams, even though they were smaller back then. And when I was put on a performance improvement plan, I knew I had maybe a month, 2 months at the best runway, and I only did a few hours of personal training back then. I couldn't sustain that, and I thought I never want to be in that situation again, where I literally don't know if I can pay my rent. In the same year I also got divorced, so I was literally on my own. My family's back in Austria. I was like, I never do that again. If one income stream breaks away, I want to have at least another one that can sustain me in my independent life. And this is how I slowly started to build multiple income streams. It's what I'm doing. I'm not doing completely different things. I'm not a dog walker and a parachute instructor and It's I still do the same topic or cover the same solution, just in different ways. Exactly. Yes. Cool. So let's talk about personal branding, for example. I do one-on-one coaching, but not everyone can afford it. So we also have an online course which done with you. So it's one-to-many. It's a group session. You have online content, and then there's the online component without any coaching. So I offer the same content in 3 different levels.
Wow, that's cool.
At the same time, I also do a lot of paid keynotes. So that's a 4th income stream. Then training companies. It's a different audience. Still same content, or very similar. We tweak it a bit, but still we can still leverage the same material already. Then we've got leadership retreats, for example. We've got leadership coaching. It's all hand in hand that works. Then I've got the teaching engagement at different universities. Now, the book is another Eden country, even though it's small, but it all adds up. So it's a few hundred there and a few hundred there. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. No, I think it's such a smart idea. I mean, you take the same concept and people talk about, write one piece of content and push that out across all of the different social platforms and, into different formats, but it's the same topic, same idea, same content, just in a variety of formats. And I love the idea of doing that for products as well. So why not, if you've written a course, well, why not deliver that in person and charge a premium? Or why not think about who can value from that same content if you just tweaked it a little bit to be industry specific or something like that. So I love that idea that you can kind of take your knowledge and leverage it in different ways, or take existing products and leverage them in different ways. I think that's
absolutely
really smart.
Because in the end, this is how you future-proof yourself in the business. If, my B2B, when COVID-19 hit, all those big contracts where, there's often 50, 60 plus $1,000 investment, they all fell down. They all, even though they signed the contracts, I didn't go after them because I'm not such a so I focused on B2C because it's a lot quicker in terms of the sales cycle. Yes. I started small, developed a few courses, and then went more premium when I added more, when I built more of an audience. So it didn't happen overnight either. But at the same time, if you have got two different audiences with the same content or similar content or similar delivery, you already diversify your income without diversifying your attention, because you don't have to constantly create something new. If they say, hey, can you talk about SaaS marketing? I would say no, even though I have good understanding. It's not what I want to stand for. It's not my area of expertise. I would start from scratch, so I would lose more money than it would be worth it. So it also helps you to build your own brand, to say, what can I say yes to, and do I want to say yes to, and what is a thank you but no thank you.
Yeah, and that is such good advice as well. One kind of area I see business owners, I guess, make mistakes in is trying to be everything for everyone, and try and say, well, everyone in the world is my customer, I can sell it. And it's like they just waste so much time trying to sell the wrong product to the wrong person. Whereas if you really understand, like you said, what you stand for and what you're knowledgeable on, and then understand who that's valuable for, then that is just such an easier conversation to have when you're going through that sales process.
Absolutely. And this is also what makes you more trustworthy. When you say, can you develop a website? Sure. Can you design a logo? Yes. It's like, okay, what can you not do? Can you walk my dog? And this is why we compete on price, because there's no differentiation to everyone else. But I think it actually builds trust when you say, I would love to, but it's not my area of expertise. But you know what? I would actually refer you to XYZ, and build a bit of a referral network that you can send people back and forward, because that could be also one of your business development channels, where you simply pass on people or get them because they are the step before you or after you, and it comes down, I think, to also abundance mindset. When we're trying to go after every single person, it's I could lose something. I could lose $1,000 here, something there. Whereas we've got 8+ billion people on this earth. I don't think anyone would starve if we've got some drive and actually make this work.
You're 100% right. And that is exactly the, I think, philosophy that every business owner should have. There is enough out there for everybody. There are enough businesses to sell into. There are enough consumers to sell into. If you've got a good idea and you do add value, just start talking to people. You don't need to be worried about, keeping all of the leads to yourself.
Exactly. And, with some leads, they might be qualified and officially tick in the box, but they don't resonate with your approach. And they would actually be better with somebody else, because what we also want to avoid is bad feedback or bad comments, or a refund or money back request, because that could actually destroy us, even though we've got officially the $10,000, and all of a sudden 8 of those 10 people want the refund. Not good.
Yeah, exactly. And you've done all the work, you've spent all the time. That's not a great situation to be in.
Not at all.
No, I love it. Well, so, and I want to ask you a question because we are here in the Spark community and most of us are female founders. So I wonder how being a woman in business impacted you, or being a female in your career. Did you ever come across that as being a disadvantage, or do you find it a total advantage? What's your position?
To be honest, I've never experienced something negative as such, and
Right.
I always feel sorry for myself, but I also never let that happen. So when I grew up, my dad treated my brother, who is 3 years older, and me exactly the same way. I had to do heavy lifting also from an early age onwards, because my dad, furnished universities actually. So we had to lift literally 10 hours, chairs and desks and everything from the age of 13, 14 onwards. So I never saw we are different. And I have a lot what I call masculine energy. I'm not that feminine or female by nature. So I always fought my way through, and I also, to be honest, always built male teams around me, because it's easy for me to get on with them. And I usually earned a lot more than all my female counterparts because I ask for it. But
well,
I do see,
you know what, maybe that's good advice. It's just getting in there and just doing it and asking for more. I love that.
Yes, but I do see for myself that my male counterparts, they just say an extraordinary amount like that. It's like, I'm worth it. And I'm like, oh, but can I really charge that much? So I still question myself all the time, especially when it comes to higher ticket offers. And when I was in recruitment, what I constantly saw was females ticked 9.5 out of 10 boxes and thought, I'm not quite ready yet. I'll wait for another year or so to go for this more senior role. And the guys were, well, I'm kind of ticking 3 out of 10 boxes. I'm kind of overqualified, but I'll go for it anyway. It's such a different approach to things. And this is why females usually get stuck or take lower paying roles, because it's also a different drive. They'd rather be part of a team and belong to a social group. And guys, it's still about status and their own ego. There's nothing right or wrong with it. It's just a different driver that I've seen over and over again. And it also comes down to acknowledging what are your personal values. Like, to be honest, for me, I've made the decision that I don't want to have my own kids. I'm not naturally nurturing and caring as such. So I've made the decision. I admire moms who juggle it all. I don't know how they do it. When I look after my stepkids for half an hour, I think I deserve a medal. But everyone's got their own strength.
That's true. And I love that idea as well. I mean, I think so much we talk about, what women aren't doing right and how we can fix this. But I actually love what you just said about understanding what your own values are. And you know what, if you want to make a choice that's maybe not, feminist, women's liberation, doing all the things, if you want to make a choice that aligns to your values, maybe that's not such a bad thing.
No, I don't think so. And to be honest, there's so much discussion about, International Women's Day, which we just had, and women's only initiatives. But this is totally excluding. There's nothing about diversity or being inclusive, because we are excluding a big chunk of a population. And in the end, we as females can't survive and thrive when we don't have the buy-in from men. So what's the point of excluding them rather than...
Oh my God, it's so funny you say that, because I just had this conversation with my partner and he's like, so do you have any men at your International Women's Day event? I was like, no. He's like, well, that's not very diverse and inclusive. I was like, damn it. It's so true. If men aren't at the table having the conversation, then I think we are, probably doing ourselves a little bit of a disservice.
Absolutely. And I think it actually is also upsetting for them, because
there are good ones out there.
Exactly.
There are plenty of good ones.
And, I've had a couple of really good senior leaders, and they were both guys, and I looked up to them. We had a good relationship, and they would definitely support the best talent. If it's a female or man, who cares? As long as you show dedication, initiative, and have personality that resonates with them, it doesn't matter. So I think some of those conversations are going too far in the opposite, that actually does the female drive a disservice. That fulfilling a certain quota just for the sake of it, it's not right. Choose the best talent, not because of their gender, but because they qualify for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I know it's quite controversial in that case.
I know, but it's also like we should celebrate men who do that, like we should also make sure that the companies that do that and take that approach are celebrated as well, so that we can kind of, I guess, hero the idea of picking the right person for the job. And yeah, it's interesting.
Absolutely.
I love it. And so I know you are in the gym every day, if not twice a day. So I always assume that is your way of looking after you. I mean, beyond the physical aspect, running a business is very mentally taxing. Yes. I wondered, for the, people in the network who have businesses or thinking of starting a business and they're feeling overwhelmed, or they're feeling like, why the heck did I start this business? And it's all a bit much. How do you take a minute for yourself? And if, things are getting a little bit overwhelming, how do you kind of step back and look after you and take on those challenges?
Well, I've got 3 non-negotiables, and this is going to the gym in the morning, a walk and talk with my partner, and then learning something new. And that could be in different ways, either listening to a different podcast, or having another module in an online course, or being part of a mastermind in a few masterminds. And also the gym first thing in the morning. What it also signals, so yes, it is for my own sanity because I recharge, but at the same time, it also signals to myself that I come first. And sometimes the days can go crazy, and then at night you just can't be bothered, but in the morning you've done it, you got it out of the way, you're more energized. And I do get the busier I am, the more often I exercise. So I often also go for another run at lunchtime, or go for a run again in the afternoon, or for a gym session. And I actually get more done on those sessions than when I work, because you think about a problem and you just can't come up with a solution. And in the second you get your blood moving and you don't actually think about it, your brain still focuses on finding the solution. It comes a lot more natural. And I also use it when I do keynotes, for example. I actually rehearse it when I swim for 2-3 kilometers to practice it, because I can't be distracted by telephones, by emails, by Netflix. So, it's just finding what works for you. But I do think that in a second, I constantly get overwhelmed, and I get naturally quite anxious all the time. The only way to balance that is to challenge my body and to change my physical state, because this is how I switch to also from the mental state. And yes, I can't tell you how many times a day I think of, should I just quit it? Is it even worth it? It's like, oh yeah, just another day.
Like you are having these thoughts, I need to go for a run.
Exactly. Because we're just getting in our own head so easily. So if we just change that, and in the end, I think as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, if you can't look after yourself, and if you don't know how to manage your own energy, you will very quickly run out of business, also because there's only so much energy that you can give.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. Well, we're going to wrap up with one last question for you. And that is, if you could give a person who is thinking about starting a business, one piece of advice, what would that be?
Optimize for interest.
Elaborate. I like it, but elaborate.
So many think they can only start a business with the one profession or with the one industry they had experience in, even though they hate it. But they don't realize that they can also commercialize their underlying strength and their expertise and experience that they've gained throughout the years in different ways. So let's say we are an accountant and I hate accounting. Well, how could I still monetize my knowledge? I could teach others how to do accounting, or I teach at universities, for example, or I can develop a course how to do your bookkeeping as a business owner. So I can still leverage what I know, but package it in a different way. And this is what so many don't think about. We're not stuck in where we are right now. We can move and we can change. And, there are studies that show that we've got about 5 different careers in our professional life. And in those 5 careers, 17 different jobs. So why should we stick to something that we can't be bothered with? Because if you're not that interested, that passionate about a topic that you could listen to, learn about, and read about 24/7 for the next 2, 3, 5 years, again, it's not going to be sustainable, because we need to stay up to date. We need to know what's happening in the industry, that we can then adjust our skill set and our tool kit that we need in order to perform the task. So yeah, optimize for interest.
Oh my God, I love it. You are literally amazing. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us today. And those insights were incredible. So I do really appreciate you being honest and sharing your challenges and successes and insights. That's absolutely fabulous.
No, thank you. Honestly, I love what you're doing. And thanks so much for putting together the Spark community, incredible leaders there. And it's good to just be honest with each other, to bounce off each other and say, how do you solve this problem? Or does anyone else feel like that? Because sometimes we do feel a little bit weird or isolated, especially if especially if our friends are all corporate employees who've got no idea how to run a business, that we don't have a paycheck, that we struggle sometimes with paying the bills. Nobody realizes what actually goes into running a business, and how often you doubt yourself if you're good enough. And when you get the hundreds of rejection for the same thing, it's like, what am I doing wrong?
That's right. No, it is so true. I read a quote recently that was, if you want to go fast, so if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I love that, because it is that premise of, there's so many other people in the same boat. And if you can bounce off each other, learn from others' mistakes, and, have a bit of a shoulder to cry on every now and again, it never goes astray.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Love it. Awesome. Well, we will wrap the recording there. That is absolutely incredible.
Thank you so much for having me.